Welcome to another edition of How's the Rutherford County Real Estate Market. This is a beautiful morning on June 2nd, 2025, and we're here to recap not only this past week's information Rutherford County Real Estate Market, but stay tuned to the end because the FHFA charts came out for Q1 that tells us whether raw appreciation or depreciation, how much that was in our area. I'll hit that shortly, but first, let's get into this week. Pending home sales basically were flat this past week. There were 102 pending home sales. This is up 2 units from last week, but down 2 units from the same week the year before. So basically flat there. Our available inventory, 1,417 units. That's only up 1 unit from last week. So again, that's pretty flat week over week. But year over year, last year was 946 available homes. So this was a 49.7% increase over this time last year. So basically we've got the same amount of homes going under contract, but we have 47% more homes on the market. So same amount of sales, more competition. Buyers, that puts you in a little bit better negotiating position. Sellers, you need to be paying attention to that because that weakens your negotiating position. As I said, the FHFA Home Price Index came out this week. This is for Q1, so January, February, and March this year. I know we're already into June, so some of this data at this point seems a little old, but that's just the way it works. The federal said in the Nashville, Davidson, Franklin, Murfreesboro metropolitan statistical area, easy for you to say, right? Says we saw a 1.4% increase in home prices. I was really surprised by this. I thought we would see totally flat or maybe even a little bit down. Now, sales price does not take into account any seller concessions, any closing costs the seller pays on behalf of the buyers. So, a couple of years when we were in the pandemic, the COVID era, where everything was going over listing and all that, sellers really were not conceding anything. So the sales price was pretty much the sales price. Whereas what we're seeing with the market right now is sellers are making concessions, helping pay closing costs, maybe buying down the interest rate for a buyer or something, helping with affordability for that buyer. So the 1.4% is what the sales price is, but if you take in concessions, and there's not really a good way for me to know what the concessions are, but I know what we're seeing across the board, and it's usually somewhere between 2 and 4%. If you take into account that, you actually probably saw level or slight decrease in the net profit to the seller. So something else came out this week. Redfin, their analysis of major metro, and what they were looking at is how many buyers were in the market versus how many sellers are in the market. Their analysis said across the nation, there's 500,000 more sellers in the market right now than buyers. If you break that down for the Nashville area, and I don't know if they took Davidson County proper or if this is the Nashville MSA, which would include Rutherford County, but that Nashville at number 10 for the largest gap between sellers and buyers, they reported that there were 1,935 home sellers and 7,859 active buyers in the Nashville area. So this is about a 90% spread that they were looking at there. So it's just interesting looking how the market has been changing. This is a trend that we've been seeing for quite a while now. Also, I promised you last week we were going to recap May since we are into June. Excuse me. Right now, I decided to hold off till next week because the last business day of May was a Friday, and sometimes it takes a couple of days to get all the information into the MLS, and I wanted to make sure I had complete information for you. So hope that helped you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm talking real estate. I enjoy looking at these stats, and most importantly, I love using them. Excuse me. I love using them to help guide my buyers and sellers along the path with their real estate needs. So feel free to reach out to me with any specific questions you have. I know this was a little longer update, but I appreciate you sticking around to the end. Make it a great week.